So in return on investment, we discuss the total benefits and total cost. The difference between the benefits to cost, we divide from the total cost and we take as a fraction, right? And the problem is, although we focus on overall return, there's a time component involved in here. Because the return you come in various different times, which you have to think about, because when time passes, the money value depreciates. So we have to focus on that. And that's exactly what we are going to do in our next technique. Right. So let me explain what present value analysis means. So present value analysis means that when you talk about amount of money in future, that means when you say you will get 100 rupees in the next year, or you will get 100 rupees in next 2 years, you are trying to map that to today's value so that you can have a fair comparison, right? So for example, if somebody will talk to you and say that, okay, I'm going to give you 100 rupees. And let's say another person will say that, okay, I'm going to give you 100 rupees another year. Okay, which one you are going to take it? This is exactly the point. So the point is, with the time, the money depreciates. And then usually you have to think about, when you talk about the future money, whatever the benefits that you are going to get future in terms of today's value. That is very, very important, right? And that's what exactly we are going to do. So what happens, what are we going to do here is like, okay, for example, you get some benefits this year, next year, after 2 years time, after 3 years time, after 4 years time, and so on. And then you're trying to convert back to that amount for today's amount and see whether it's a profitable one, right? And then that's exactly what we are going to do, right? So we are going to look at what we call the values, the future values in today's terms on a table like present value tables. Now let me explain the present value table. So this is called present value table, and you can see the number of periods in one side. This is number of years. The period simply we say years. And the column say the interest rate. Okay. First of all, what is interest rate? I have a quick question for you. Let's say you are deposit 100 rupees today in a bank, right? And they say the current interest rate, right? 10%. What is the value of this 100 rupees, right? Next year. Maybe I can type. I need you to understand. Maybe I will say, okay, I will say this is today, right? I'm going to say this is today, right? This is, I'm going to say after 1 year, right? That means I will say after 2 years, right? My question is like this. Okay, I'm going to have 100, right? And let's say I'm going to deposit in a bank for 10% interest rate per year. My question is, what is the amount we get after 1 year? Yes, I got one answer. Yes, come on, come on, come on. I need your answers. Let me stop recording. So we were discussing about present value and future values, which means if you have 100 and if you deposit this with a 10% interest rate, after 1 year, you are getting 110. It's because 1 year it's 10%. So 10% of 100 is 10 and 100 plus 10, 110. On the other hand, if you want to have 100, how much you need to invest? So idea is to get 100 here, you have to divide by 110 and you have to multiply by 100. So that means you have 100, you have to divide by 110, multiply by 100. So that's what you need to evaluate. And if you evaluate this, you will get 90.9, right? So if you are 90.9, if you get 10%, you will get 9.1, which is 100%. You get? And this is what we are getting here. If you look at carefully, this is the period, this is the interest rate, and this is the value it says. Because the table says to get one, how much you have to have. I said 100, right? So instead of 100, you can ask the question in other way around. So I can ask something like this, right? I can ask a question on the other hand, right? So the question I'm going to ask, okay, if I had to day one, how much you are getting after 1 year? You get 1.1. And if you want to get one, how much you have to have today? It will be 0.909. You can check the values. And that's what we are going to get from this table. Okay, given that information, I'm going to ask a question. Right? Give me the answer. Right? To get $1, let me put this as $1. To get $1 after 10 years with the interest of 12%, how much I have to have today? The question is how much I have to have today if I want to get one after 10 years with the interest rate of 12%. I will repeat the question again. To get $1 after 10 years with the interest rate of 12%, how much I have to have today? To answer a question like this, you have to read from this. The period is number of years that we have to take 10. I will take different color so that it's clear for you. So I'm going to say, okay, after 10 years, right? The interest percent is 12%. How much I have to take one? So this is the amount. So the amount that I have to have is 0.909. 0.322. So if I have like 0.322 after 10 years with the 12% interest, we'll get 1. So that means if you have to get 1,000 rupees, you have to have 322 rupees today. So that's why now this is something that you have to think about and you can calculate and see. If you want to be millionaire or billionaire, you have to start invest in early years of your career. You can calculate and see how much you will get, right? If you say, for example, if you say $1 today, how much you will get after 40 years time, right? Okay, so what I want to highlight here is in this table we call net present value tables. And this will give you an information about given the periods, the number of years, as well as given the interest rates like 6%, 8%, 10%, 12%, and 14%. You can find equivalent value, right? So the investment that you want to make it today to get $1, right? That will give you here. Why I said $1? So if you need $100, you have to multiply these numbers by 100%. Okay. One last question. Again, I didn't get the answers properly, so I expect you to give me an answer. Okay, let's say how much I have to invest today to get $1 after 6 years with 8%. I will repeat. If I want to get $1 after 6 years with 8% interest rate, how much I have to invest today? Okay, now you should read the table. Now you should know. Okay, we said 6 years with the 8% interest rate. How much you have to invest today? That is 0.630 to get 1. Right? So I hope now that part is clear to you. Right? That's how you read net present value tables. And what you are going to notice is if you draw the graph and see, you will see it exponentially goes up. So this will grow exponentially. Right? Any questions? Shall we move to the next one then? If you are clear this, if you do not, let me know. Right, now we are going to do some calculations. I'm assuming that now you are comfortable with this table. This table indicates that to get a $1 in future, how much you have to invest today. In other words, when somebody tells you about like how much your money getting in the future, you can see how much it's worth today. Okay, one last question I can ask you. Okay, I will put in this way. To get 1,000 rupees by 10 years, I will repeat. To get 1,000 rupees by 10 years and with the interest of 14, how much I have to invest today? Will repeat. To get 1,000 rupees in 10 years with the interest rate of 14%, how much I have to invest today? That was the question. So this is today's amount. I will say today, after 10 years, I would like to have 1,000 rupees. Interest rate is 14%. My question is how much I have to have or how much I have to spend today. Right. Again, look at the table. That is 10%, 14%, and it's 0.270. Right? Which means to get 1, you have to have 0.270. To get 1,000, you have to multiply by 1,000. So when you multiply by 1,000, you get 270. So the idea is you have to have 270 today to get 1,000 after 10 years. Okay, good that you have, if you can figure this out. Okay, good. Now I think I can explain you the calculations. Okay, let's move on. Right. Can you quickly give me the answer? We have find the present value for $1, 12% for 5 years. Okay, 12% for 5 years. 12% for 5 years. 12% for 5 years. How much is it? Yes. To get $1 after 5 years with the 12% interest, how much I have to have today? If you go together with the table, if you look at 5 here and 12%, right, you will get 0.567. To get $1, you have to have 0.567. Okay, second part of the question. Now, what is the present value of 3,000 at 12% for 5 years? Okay, now earlier we have calculated for $1, right? What about if you have $300? So what needs to be done? Okay, what needs to be done? You get 0.567 and you have to multiply by 3,000. And you are getting 1,701. Good. Like some of you have already shared your answer with me before I explain it. Okay, next one. So now what are we going to do? Now notice that when we talk about the 2 projects that we have seen earlier, I'm going to go back to my 2 projects. You see some of the value realized after 1 year. For example, so this is current present value. This is after 1 year. You are getting, the cost will be 70,000. After 2 years, it will be 8,500. After 6, you are getting 3,300. Benefits also same. Initial year, it's 3,000. After 1 year, 28,000. After 2 years, 31,000. After 6 years, you get 42,000. These are like future values. Now in net present value, what we do, we evaluate these value. What is the value for today, as of today, with particular interest rate? Okay. And then we can see whether it's really, really profitable. Okay, let me explain. So as I told you earlier, now once you understand how the calculations happen, what we do, we have to time adjust the cost and benefits. So when you're evaluating a project, you have to time adjust both the cost and the benefits. So what do you have to do? You find the present value factor from the present value table and you multiply with the each value, the benefit and the cost. Then sum all these benefits and the cost. And if you're getting, right, positive value, then you can say the project is economically feasible. Okay, now that we have understood the idea, let's perform, right, net present value analysis for project A and project B, right? Net present value analysis for project A and project B. Okay, first of all, I want to take some screenshot of this. Take the screenshot of this one. This is present value table. Done. Okay, let's move on. The next one, take a screenshot of this one. These are the values of the two projects, and we'll do the calculations. Right. So what we are going to do is we are going to now do what we call net present value calculations. And what you need to have is you have to have the project details, and you have to have what we call the present value table. So if you have those two, we have discussed how to calculate the value. So the idea is you start from looking at the present value for $1 with the interest rate. So assume that you are trying to find the present value for $1 with the 12% for 5 years. By referring the table, you will realize you will have to have 0.567. That is the present value. Given that if you want to find this value for $3,000, you have to simply multiply by $3,000, right? So the idea is basically you are going to multiply all the cost and the benefits with the proper present value factor. And then once you time adjust all the benefits and the cost, then you are going to sum it up, and then you will call it as a net present value, right? And that's exactly what we are going to do. Right, now I'm going to share my whiteboard and let's start. So ready with your values. So this is how you need to prepare the values. The first one is simply you need I'm going to say this is project A. I'm going to do this for project A, right? Okay. So the things that you need to have, you have to have all these years. So I'm going to say year 0. I'm going to say year 0. Likewise, you can have all the values. So I'm going to have year 0, then year 1, then year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, and finally I will say total. I'm going to explain like what I'm trying to do here. So that means right now we have values for 6 years. So I'm going to put total, right? Okay, so that's the first one. Then you list all the benefits. So for project A, I will put benefits. And then we'll write down present value factor. Let's assume that we are going to consider 12% per year, right? So this is what I'm going to plan. And then once you do that, Let's multiply the two values and find present value, right? I'm going to find present value. So that is for benefits, right? So after that, we are going to have, right? Sorry about that. So I said 12%, and then we will have present value, and then we'll have costs, then again present value factor. Again, I'll assume that it's 12%. Then present value, that is means the costs. And finally, we'll work out something called net present value. And this is what I want you to find out. Okay, so I think you are comfortable with the first part. Right. Okay, now let's start. The benefits, you have to focus on the table given for you, right? What are the benefits? Let's put down the current values. For benefits, it's for the first it's 3,000, right? Then you have, this is benefits, right? 28,000. Then you have 31,000. Then you have 34,000. This is one. Okay, 31,000, 34,000. So likewise, for all the years, you have to adjust the values. 34,000. Then you have 36,000. Then you have year 5, 39,000. Then you have 42,000. Right? So these are like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Then you have total, right? Right. So these are the benefits value. Similar to that, we can have cost value as well. Cost. The first year, the cost for the project is 60,000. Then 17,000. 18,500. 19,200. 21,000. 22,000. 23,300. Right? Okay. Now, I want you to refer the tables. Can you refer the table? Look at the net present values. Can you refer the net present values? Fill it here, right? So currently I have put down this. Okay. So this is what I have. Right. You can look at the table. So right now I need only the 12% values, right? So the values will be the same. Okay. For what is the net present value for 12%? So the initial, it will be 1, right? So no change. Yes. Tell me for first year, you will get with the 12%, 0.893, right? You'll get 0.893. Refer the table. Then after 2 years, 0.792, sorry, 797. Then 0.712, 0.636, 0.567, 0.507. So those are the values we need, right? So I put up here. So the same values I can have here as well. So let me take a copy. Right. Now you have to multiply. So the current year, right? The benefit is 3,000. And if you multiply with the present value factor, no change, you will get 3,000. Right? You will get 3,000. You multiply 3,001, you will get 3,000. Now multiply 28,000 with 0.893. So you will get 28,000 multiplied by 0.893. You will get 25,004. 25,004. So that means, right? So the benefit you are getting after 1 year is 28,000. If you convert back to today's amount with the 12% interest rate, it's 25,004. Okay, can you give me the other values? Can you fill this table? So you just need to multiply these values, multiply, 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 put it here. Okay, sorry about this. Multiply, put these values here. Similar to that, that is benefits. Then find multiply these two, you will get 60,000. Multiply these two. Find the values are here. Then find the total here. So this is the total that I'm expecting. Put the total value here. You add everything here, put the value here. Then finally, subtract these two. We have benefits, we have cost. The difference we'll get as the net present value, right? So we can put it here. So what is the value we get? Yes, after 2 years, we'll get 24,000. $707. Then when you multiply 34,000 with 0.712, you will get 24,000 208. Then when you multiply 36,000 with 0.636, you will get 22,896. Then when you multiply 39,000 with 0.567, we'll get 22,113. And finally, when you get 42,000 with 0.507, you'll get 21,294. So if you multiply, if you add all these together, total cost in present value form, right? So the total would be something like 143,222. Similarly, if you do it correctly, yes, can you tell me like what is the value you are getting here? The cost value. What is the value? If you do the same thing for the cost as well, right? If you look at the value for the cost as well, you can calculate now. So the during the current year, the initial year, you are spending 60,000. So that means if you do it the same way, it will be 60,000. This is the current. But after 1 year, the cost will be 17,000. Net present value factor is 0.893. If you multiply, you will get 35,720. You will get. Then you'll get 18,500 after 2 years' time. So when you multiply 18,500 with 0.797, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. It's 60,000. Then it's not 35. It should be, okay, this is wrong. So you will get 60,000. Let me check the values. Yes. 15,000. Let me check your answers. Yes, your answers are correct. 15,181. Yes, exactly. 181. Then 18,500 by 0.797. It's 14,745. 19,200 multiplied by 0.712. That is 13,670. Right? Then after 4 years' time, when you multiply 21,000, 0.636, you will get 13,356. 22,000 multiplied by 0.567, you will get 12,000. Then year 6, after 6 years, 23,300 multiplied by 0.507, you'll get 11,813. When you sum it up everything, we'll get, when you sum, total will be 141,239. And when you subtract, you will get net present value. So this is the total cost, total benefits you are getting for the year, current year. This is the total cost for the current year. So you see, you get a positive value, 1,983. So if this is positive, that means it's a profitable one. If you get positive, then it's a profitable one. Project B, right? So I'm going to say project B. Maybe I can bold. Okay, project B. Same way we can calculate. We can have benefits. And we can have number of years. Year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Then we have total, right? Present value factor, we said 12%. Right. For the benefits, we don't have for the first year. Then we have 6,000. Then 26,000. 54,000. 70,000. 82,000. We have 92,000. Right. We can say present value. Then we have costs. Present value factor gain 12%. Present value. Finally, net present value. So this is what we are going to calculate. Right. So what are the costs? We have project B, we have 80,000, 40,000, 25,000, 22,000, 24,000, 26,500. Then we have 30,000. Right. So the values, we can look for the table. Yes, we have 0.893, 0.797, 0.712, 0.636. Actually, you can use Excel formula for this. You don't have to type by hand like this. But I will put it like, since we are taking from the table. So the same value, you can put it here, Control V, Control paste. Okay, now what you need to do is you have to multiply this with whatever you have down. And then when you are copy, you will get like this. Similarly, you will get this one, multiply with the second one. And this is what we are getting. Now we need total. We can say sum. Okay, 0 to here. That is what we are getting, 202,186. Similar to this, if you take sum it up, right, we get 196,808.5. So let's take the difference. This is the benefits, this is the cost, and you will get 5,377.5 or 500,377, whatever. Okay, as you have seen already, right. So to conclude our discussion, what we said in the beginning, when we talk about return on investment, we talk about total cost and total benefits as the difference between the two as a ratio of the total cost. The problem with the payback analysis and ROI, you don't discuss or you didn't consider about the future values. So present value analysis takes the timing of these cost and benefits, which is one of the advantages when you talk about the both payback analysis and return on investment, right? So therefore, there are some always advantages and disadvantages, all these. So depend on the requirements, company can prefer any of these three techniques, right? Another example that I want you to submit once we finish for today. So work on this based on what we have discussed, and you can submit your work in the LMS. I will put up the link on this. Please work on the remaining time on this and then submit your answers in the link provided in the LMS.